Alright guys, welcome back to another week of day trading. And last week we ended up blowing our funded account and hit probably the roughest part of this losing streak. So this week my only goal is to fix the thing that was holding me back, and I'll show you exactly what that was throughout this video. It definitely wasn't the busiest week, but by sticking to the plan we still found some really clean opportunities to put in some work. So yeah, let's just get straight into this week's trades. Today was probably one of my cleanest trades in weeks. But somehow I still ended the day feeling like I had lost, and I thought I had everything under control until I tried to enter my trade. And coming into Monday, my only real focus was patience. Last week, my problem that I noticed was that I was overthinking entries, either risking too little when clean setups actually showed up. So today, I wanted to just step back, let the markets come to me and only take something that was really clean. And we started the week with really clean continuation from Asia, and they gave us a nice directional bias early on. And we printed out a clear hourly order block and came back into that area during London, which lined up with the high time frame OTE as well. So overall, it was a pretty clean environment for longs, but I wasn't interested in forcing anything too early, even though I could see a setup somewhat forming right now, because it was a bit too early for me. So I told myself I'd rather just wait for confirmation and rush it. Price pushed higher quite aggressively at first, and for a moment, I thought I missed the move. But shortly after, we got the retest that I was waiting for, and at that point, I was just waiting to see how price reacted around that level. And we swept liquidity around the London lows, and I remember thinking that this is where I usually start to overthink things. So this is where I decided that I really need to lock in on staying patient. We got a clean reversal reaction from there, and if we did take out the London highs, then I was done for the day. But we didn't. We held structure and gave the confirmation that I was looking for, and that's where I took the entry. And from there, price moved cleanly. No real drawdown, just a smooth continuation, and we hit TP pretty quickly, and everything about the trade was just clean and controlled. On paper, it was exactly what I wanted from the session, but after I was done with the trade, I went to look at my funded account and it was already blown. But for a second, I sat there and I was confused because I tested the account last week. Everything about the trade itself today was also really good. Like, it was a green trade, it was clean execution, good discipline, but the account was already gone, so it didn't even get to experience that high. And that's probably the most frustrating part. Like, today was one of my cleanest trades in a while, but the results didn't reflect that at all. And it reminded me, good trading and the results aren't always correlated. Usually these things take a lot of time to catch up with your efforts, because even when you execute properly, the bigger picture still matters a lot more. And what I am taking from today is just simple. My patience was still there. I didn't force anything early, and I waited for the exact kind of setup that I want to trade. Good trading and results aren't always correlated, but good results will eventually catch up to good trading. So the main thing right now is just building my consistency on the process and not the outcome. Yesterday I said Monday was probably my cleanest trade of the week. I think I was wrong, because today's trade wasn't cleaner because of the setup. It was cleaner because I finally trusted myself. Coming into today, I wanted to build on what Monday taught me. Yesterday was all about patience, and today I wanted to work on confidence. One thing I realized lately is that I don't really struggle to read the market as much. I struggle to trust myself once I have an actual read. So my goal for today wasn't to find more setups, it was simply just to trust the setup that I find. And coming into the session, price was pushing aggressively into the overlapping high time frame balances, which also lined up really nicely with the high time frame OTE. So if buyers wanted to step in, this is probably the place that it would happen. Now, all I wanted was for price to just tell the same story. Price continued pushing lower and eventually swept out the internal low I'd been watching. Honestly, this is about as far as I wanted price to go. Any lower and the idea would have started to look a lot weaker. So instead of rushing in, I just let price develop. And we started ranging for a bit, and the longer it stayed there, the more the narrative was starting to come together. And eventually we got the shift, but it wasn't perfect. The 5-minute structure still looked a little messy. Normally, this is exactly where I started talking myself out the trade. I would have found another reason to wait, another reason to hesitate, but then I remembered I told myself before the session, if the higher time frame narrative is still there, trust it. But at the 1-minute shift, the 15-minute wick, and enough confirmation for me to believe in the idea. So I took the trade. And almost immediately, price exploded. There wasn't any hesitation, it was just straight clean momentum into TP. And honestly, the profit wasn't even my favorite part of today. The thing I was happiest about was finally committing to the setup that I'd normally second guessed. And that's the kind of trade that I've been trying to take more often. And it's funny, you know, yesterday reminded me that good trading and good results aren't always correlated, and today reminded me that good trading sometimes means being willing to be uncomfortable. You know, confidence isn't always something that you wake up with. It's built every time you choose to trust your preparation instead of your fear. And I'm sure that there will be days where the confidence gets tested again, but today felt like a step in the right direction. Alrighty boys, so for Wednesday I didn't end up trading because I had work in the morning, so because we're just going to go back and do a little bit of a reflection. And you can see I already marked out some levels. We had a 1 hour order block above, which we were retesting, and price had a overall 4 hour order block target, which we were pushing towards as well. We did end up taking out the Asia lows, which was pretty clean because we had a nice shift lower, especially on the hourly, so this was a nice continuation for price pushing lower. So overall, you could probably assume that since we had this new order block, we could probably retest it and continue pushing lower into the unfilled 4 hour gap. But on the day, I don't think it actually played out until a bit later. As you can see, we had a 5-minute order block here as well as a wick high. 15-minute also had a fair value gap as well. Before those confidences aligning, it would still be able to take a trade, maybe off of like this shift here after seeing that wick form and just targeting the order block. That would have been a clean trade. But for me, I think that would have been a bit too quick because we didn't even retest the hourly order block. So I would have wanted to see that. Though if you actually wanted to take the trade, I think this trade is still all good because the narrative lines up pretty well. We have the high time frame shifting lower. We have the imbalances on the low time frame, which we retested, and then we also had the wick high and then a shift lower on the 1 minute along with a 1 minute inverse. So because of that, that would have been a pretty clean trade to go for. But then yeah, afterwards, price retested the 4 hour order block, started chopping around for a while until macro where we started pushing higher again. So perhaps we could have taken a long following that idea, seeing this wick tap, and you can just enter off this candle, stop at the low, and then targeting the unfilled hourly order block. That would have been another clean trade that you could go for. I think the more A+ one would have been this first one. It would have been more intuitive, but it would have been a much cleaner trade as well, and it would have played out much faster compared to this one where volume is already starting to die out a little bit. So yeah, that's what I got for Wednesday. Alright, so since Thursday and Friday I'm not trading because there's a no news Friday and I don't usually trade on the news for Thursday, I thought I would just sit down and have a chat with you guys about my journey so far, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So my journey so far for this period specifically, it's been one of the most tough periods as it's been one of the longer losing streaks that I've had, and it was harder because I know that a lot of the losses that I took I shouldn't have taken, because realistically I read the narrative correctly. Price did eventually move in the direction that I wanted, but it just wicked lower and stopped me out those few times before running higher. And I think every single trade had the same issue and it also had the same result as well. I think that really made the problem glaringly obvious of it's my patience and my confidence that was the issue, because a lot of the trades, if I had just one executed as soon as there was enough confirmation for me to, then I would have won those trades rather than waiting for even more confirmation and then getting a later entry. Or it was also because I wasn't patient enough. Maybe I could have waited for the wick lower or anything like that. But realistically, with the trades I was taking, I think it was more so the confidence, because if I executed correctly, then I would have been out of the trade before I needed to wait for the wick lower. So those were the issues that mainly popped up. And I think this week I did pretty well with fixing those issues, especially with Monday and Tuesday's trade, because obviously I did execute after waiting a bit for a narrative to line up more cleanly, and then when I executed, I didn't hesitate when executing, and that led to some pretty nice wins. So it was quite nice that the results actually reflected my efforts, because obviously, you know, trading, it's probability based. It's not always going to give you a win even if you do everything right, and that's the hardest thing about trading in my opinion. Like, even if you do everything right, you might not always get the result that you want. And I think that's where a lot of people also slip, because it's really easy to get discouraged when your results don't line up with your effort that you're putting in. That leads a lot of people back into bad habits like over trading or over leveraging, rage trading, also that they can make progress quicker and get the money that they lost, or more money so that they can, I don't know, buy a watch or something. I think it's really important at this point to be disciplined. Obviously it is, but just not in the way you think. And what I mean by that is moral discipline. When you're pursuing a goal, it's important to have the consistency in your outside life, like with your health. You work out every day, you're working on your knowledge, like you backtest, you do whatever it is that will help you get closer to your goals. You can also do meditation or something, like make your mind more calm. Like calming down from an overstimulated simulated state that a lot of people are living in these days. And on the moral side, I think it's very important to stay disciplined with your morals. And the best way I can describe this or explain this is if you get the result by skipping the process and doing something bad to achieve the result, like let's say you rug pull. Obviously, it's not the right thing to do. I think it's common sense that it's not the right thing to do, but some people do it anyways because they want the money fast. Obviously, doing things the proper way, your journey will be even tougher because the result of you going through that tougher period isn't just the money side. Who you are as a person is going to completely change. So let's say like there's mentally two people. One person did the rug pulling and one person stayed consistent with their goals, and then they also eventually made it, because obviously if you pursue something for long enough, it's going to work. No matter what, you can't have that doubt in your mind that it's not going to. But the person that rug pulled or did the wrong thing to achieve the result, they're just a hollow shell. All they have is money. They don't have the mental fortitude that you built up over time. They don't have the discipline that it took you to get those goals. All they have is the money, and that money comes and goes. And I think that's really all there is to it. Like, they aren't half the person you are for getting through those tough times and working through it. Like, staying disciplined, staying consistent with your everyday habits, I think that's the thing that drives me more, because I want to be somebody that other people can look up to. Like, I will be mentally smart, I will be physically strong, I'll be spiritually smart too. So just the best possible version of myself that I can be. And if you think about your goals, like, it's not, oh, I want a bunch of money. Obviously, money is a nice side effect of the process and the journey, but it's not the end goal. And I think a lot of people that have a lot of money, they know that, and that's why they always preach that money isn't everything. But yeah, sorry for going off on a tangent there. But what I was really trying to say is that I think with where I am at right now, I shouldn't run away from all these issues that are popping up in my life. Obviously, it's really tough not being able to see the results, even though I am putting in effort in the background. But I know that the momentum will build up, and I shouldn't run away from these things, because they're what's going to make me into a better person as well. Obviously, I'm not the best version of myself that I can be, and I know that there's a lot more growth to be had. So it's important for me to not be discouraged and just keep showing up every single day. And just keep doing whatever I'm doing that I know will get me closer to my goals, and I know eventually it'll work out in the long run. But I think if you're struggling with these types of things too, the best thing I think is think first. What things will help you get closer to your goals? Like, when I was thinking about what I can do to help improve my trading, one thing that doesn't seem immediately obvious is improving the quality of my videos. Just being more thorough with my scripting led to me breaking down my thoughts even more so than if I was just journaling. And obviously that's what helped me figure it out that it was my patience and confidence that was the issue. And then second, I looked at what things in my everyday life are going to help me get closer to my goal. Obviously, like, if you don't back this and you're using that time to do other things like play games, you're using that time to goon or something like that, logically speaking, that's not going to help you get closer to your goals. You might be happier, and maybe happiness can help you perform better. If that's the case for you, then be my guest. But a lot of people, the habits that they're doing isn't the best, and they know that themselves, especially for where they want to get to in life. So it's important to just work hard on those everyday habits that get you closer to your goal, and over time the consistency will do the heavy lifting, and you'll achieve everything that you wanted to and more. But yeah, that's really all I have for today, so let's just get into the weekly recap. Alright boys, so that wraps up another week of trading, and honestly I'm pretty happy with how this week went. We made some steady progress fixing the issues that were holding us back last week, and even though the second half of the week was pretty quiet, I actually think that's a good thing. Those days just weren't probable for my system, and choosing not to trade on those days is exactly what keeps the system profitable over the long run. And like I've said before, not trading is just as much a part of trading as actually taking trades. And the journey definitely takes time, and there are always going to be ups and downs, but as long as I keep trusting my system, keep putting in the work every single day and staying patient, I know I'll eventually get to where I want to be. So overall, a pretty clean week. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to show some love down below. It genuinely means a lot. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.